You know, every time I get my hair cut, all I want is a dick in my ass.
Bitch, stop the car, I gotta piss.
Ooh, baby.
He just ate my ass, he wanna switch.
You wanna switch?
Now I'm eating his ass.
What?
Eating his ass.
Do it.
Eating a nigga ass.
Huh?
Eating a nigga ass.
You can't say that word.
Eating niggas ass.
Alright, alright. Eagle Jackson.
Ass. Eating his ass.
Ass.
Eating a
What?
nigga ass.
Oh, I can't say
Eating
it.
a
I
nigga
can't
ass.
say
Be
it.
eating niggas ass.
Ooh, that's one of my favorite jams. I know it's one of your favorites too. Welcome to Strange History with Eagle Jackson. What we're gonna do today is we're going to I'm going to read some stories strange stories from throughout history. And that's it. So I have a book with these stories. I flip to a random page, and whatever page I land on, I read the story. Let's go. This one's called It's a Trap. So you know what that means. If it's a trap, it's a trap. Happy 4th of July. It's generally agreed upon these days that Bigfoot is not a real animal, despite what you may see on sensationalized basic cable shows. But back in the 70s, the search for Sasquatch was a serious undertaking for many scientists. In 1974, after hearing about a sighting near southern Oregon's Applegate River, Christina Applegate River, a Bigfoot researcher named Ron Olson used grant money to build a trap on a wooded hillside above Grouse Creek. It was supposed to work like this. The creature comes strolling through the forest, minding his own business. When he gets... Just think of, Harry and the Hendersons. Think of that guy, okay? And so he's strolling through the forest, minding his own business, when he gets a whiff of a rabbit carcass hanging inside the 10-foot-tall metal cage. Now, that would make any of our mouths water, I would assume. So he ventures in, as any of us would, takes the bait, and then a massive steel door drops like a guillotine, locking the big guy in there until, not like a guillotine because he's gonna keep his head. I lost my spot. Locking the big guy in there until researchers come in and tag, photograph, and release him. However, in the 6 years that the Bigfoot trap was set, and this is not the most surprising news in the world, but it only caught 2 bears, or a bear and a hunter, or a bear and a hippie. The trap is still there today, but the steel door has been removed for safety. Now, we'll never know if Bigfoot was there unless he happened to leave some tracks. Alright, so that was called It's a Trap. That was page 289. Let's go back early. Hermitage. Alright, this looks like there's 2 pages on Hermitage and Hermits. I don't want those, actually. Alright, 2 actors, 2 legs. Let's read this story here. Hope you got your weed with you. Where did mine go? Oh, it's right here in front of me. British actor Herbert Marshall lost a leg fighting in World War I, but he didn't let that stop him from his true passion, acting. Marshall spent 50 years as a romantic lead on stage and on the screen, starring opposite stars as Marlene Dietrich in Blonde Venus and Greta Garbo in The Painted Veil. Audiences never even knew that he wore an artificial leg. Directors kept his on-screen movements to a minimum to hide it. Obviously, that's the only way they could in that time. I actually just watched Citizen Kane last night. Anyway, probably the most famous... This is another story. Oh, no, actually, it's not the right one. Probably the most famous actress at the turn of the 20th century, Sarah Bernhardt, suffered from a festering knee injury and had to have her leg amputated while touring in a production of Jean d'Or in 1915. Fitted with a wooden leg, the divine Sarah continued to tour in plays, acted in movies, and even performed at the front during World War I. All right. Those ones aren't that crazy. Let's hear this one. This one says, "Where's your nose, bruh?" Known as the father of astronomy, Tycho Brahe 1546 to 1601, compiled the world's first accurate set of astronomical tables. While a student at the university in Rostock, Germany, he and a fellow student, Minderup Parsberg, it's an Indian last name, began quarreling over an obscure mathematical point. The argument went on for weeks until they decided to settle it with a duel. In the dark, with swords. Now that's cool. The Indian dude sliced off a chunk of Bra's nose. Bra's vanity wouldn't let the disfigurement stop him from achieving greatness. In public, he wore an artificial nose made of gold and silver. His name was Tycho, Tycho, Bra, Brahe. And on the bottom, it says irony behind bars. In 1853, a contractor named John Coffey built a new jail in the town of Dundalk, Ireland. During the project, Coffey went bankrupt. He became his jail's very first inmate. Oh, that's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but, you know. Okay, so the final days of King Charles II. I don't want to read that. The Ball of the Burning Men. Okay, oh, that's King Charles VI, even worse. Alright, Miracle Mike the Headless Chicken. That's what we'll do. Miracle Mike the Headless Motherfucker Chicken. On September 10th, 1945, a farmer in Fruta, Colorado, named Lloyd Olson grabbed a rooster named Mike and put it on the chopping block. Remembering that his mother-in-law, who was coming for dinner, loved chicken necks. Lloyd took special care to position the axe so a generous portion of neck would remain. He gave the rooster one strong whack and cut off his head. But then the headless bird did something strange. He ran around in circles, flapping his wings. At this point, most chickens would have dropped dead. Instead, Mike raced back to the coop, where he joined the rest of the chickens as they pecked for food. The odd bird actually lived without his head for 18 more months. Olson used an eyedropper to drip food and water into Mike's gullet. Scientists at the University of Utah determined that the axe had missed the jugular vein and a clot had kept Mike from bleeding to death. Although his head was gone and eaten, his brain stem and one ear were left on his body. Since a chicken's reflex actions are controlled by the brain stem, Mike's body was able to keep on ticking. Seeing dollar signs, Olson went and took his chicken on the road. Audiences all over the United States paid a quarter each to see Miracle Mike with their own eyes. Time and Life magazines ran feature articles on the amazing fowl. Mike even made it into the Guinness Book of World Records. Sadly, in March 1947, after living for 18 months without a head, Mike choked on some food at a motel in Arizona and died. That is so weird. It sounds like he's a rock star. He choked on food in a hotel in some motel in Arizona. Like, why was the chicken it's like the chicken's in the motel, it's a whole thing. To honor his memory, every third weekend in May, the town of Fruta holds the Mike the Headless Chicken Festival. So every third weekend in May. So once a year. The 2-day celebration features the 5K run like a chicken race, egg tosses, pin the head on the chicken, a cluck off, rubber chicken juggling, and the chicken dance. Of course, great quantities of chicken fried or barbecued are enjoyed by all, heads not included. Wow. So let's go on with more eye stuff, alright? This one's I Can See You. The star Sirius was worshipped by a whole range of ancient people. The Arabs and some tribes in Mali believed that Sirius had a companion called the Eye Star, which was supposed to have supernatural qualities. Sirius really doesn't have a companion. A small white dwarf called Sirius B, which is not visible to the naked eye. So how did these primitive people know about it? The Dogon people, it's spelled like Dogon, like D-O-G-O-N, people of Mali have precise astronomical information about its movements. That's kind of weird. Whatever. Anyway. Which they celebrate with rituals, even though they admit that it's invisible. They even have a story about a third star, the Star of Women, which is also invisible. Ironically enough. In 1995, astronomers discovered this invisible third star. They, so they did. It's a red dwarf that's been named Sirius C. So how did the ancient people know about stars that can only be seen by modern telescopes that are extremely powerful? Maybe it did have supernatural qualities. All right, that's a cool story. Botched history. This is a good one. Usually, this is a George W. Bush quote. Throughout our history, the words of the Declaration of Independence have inspired immigrants from around the world to set sail to our shores. These immigrants have helped transform 13 small colonies into a great and growing nation of more than 300 people. Well, there's a lot more of them to get rid of. The blasted blubber beyond all believable bounds. Okay, this is going to be a hard one. Oh, look at that. 2 people ran away when I said that. Oh. An 8-ton sperm whale carcass washed ashore on a Florence, Oregon... Oh, another Oregon story. Beach in November 1970. And it really stank. It fell upon George Thornton of Oregon State Highway Division to figure out how to remove it. He couldn't bury the decomposing corpse on site because the tides would uncover it, and because of the stench, his workers refused to cut it up and transport it elsewhere. I would have also refused that. He also couldn't burn it. Solution? Blow up the whale. And usually they blow them up anyway. They blow up on their own. Blow up the whale with dynamite, though. Thornton figured that the whale's body would be nearly disintegrated by the explosion. Gulls would scavenge the small chunks that landed on the beach. So as workers piled 20 cases, half a ton of dynamite on the carcass, a crowd of onlookers and reporters gathered at what they thought was a safe distance, and then boom. The whale suddenly erupted into a giant plume of sand and blubber. Oohs and ahs are heard from the bystanders as whale fragments flew through the air. Then a woman screamed, "Here come pieces of whale!" Splattering noises of whale chunks hitting the ground grew louder as onlookers tried to dodge the onslaught. In the words of Paul Lindman, a Portland TV reporter on the scene, the humor of the entire situation suddenly gave way to it's a 2-page story, to a run for survival as huge chunks of whale blubber fell everywhere, and that is dangerous. For several minutes after the blast, it rained blubber particles. Fortunately, no one was hurt by the chunks, but everyone and everything on the scene was coated with foul-smelling whale bits. The worst casualty, an Oldsmobile parked a quarter of a mile away, was crushed by a large slab of blubber. That's crazy. And this story actually isn't even over. The beach was littered with huge chunks of ripe whale, including its entire tail, and slab of mangled whale meat that never left the blast site. And the smell was actually worse than before. No shit. The townspeople and all the gulls stayed far away. Thornton and his workers spent the rest of the day burying their mistake. His blunder drew the attention of news stations all over the country, but amazingly, he was promoted just 6 months later. Nearly 50 years later, the Oregon Highway Division still gets asked about the exploding whale. Many callers hoping to get their hands on the video. The whale is still dead, but the story took on a life of its own. And then we got a quote from Moby Dick at the bottom here. From hell's heart I stab at thee, for hate's sake I spit my last breath at thee. Okay. Whatever. Outdated concepts. Nah. Let's see. First jobs. Nah. I'm not even gonna do that one. Fuck it. Here we go. 5 freaky facts about money. Ancient Spartans had a creative way of preventing capital flight. They made their coins so large and heavy that it was almost impossible to take them out of the country. That's pretty crazy. Actually, I've seen something like one of those shows that someone had one of those. Anyway, first woman to appear on a U.S. coin was It was Spain's Queen Isabella, 1893. In 1124, King Henry I of England ordered 94 mint workers castrated for producing bad coins. Huh, that's nice. And they hit them with a hammer. I forgot what the word is, but they're not made by machine. Largest and smallest bills in history. The 14th century Chinese 1 yuan note was 9 by 13 inches. and the 1917 Romanian tenbani was 1.5 square inches. So, oh wow, that's small, and that's paper too. And the motto on the first U.S. coins, the copper cents in 1787, were "Mind your business." That's kind of weird, huh? Anyway, let's go to another story about fish. Something smells fishy. Nope, I can't even say the word trimethylaminiuria. I'm not even going there. Botched history. When Newfoundland finally joined with us in Confederation in 1867, it was like a family reunion. Stephen Harper, Canadian Prime Minister, forgetting that Newfoundland didn't join the Canadian Confederation until 1949. Idiot. The riddle of the Sphinx. The most famous riddle of all, yes, even more famous than why'd the chicken cross the road, is the one that the Sphinx asked every human she met. A fierce creature, the Sphinx had a woman's head and breasts, a lion's claws, an animal's body, a dragon's tail, and a bird's wings, and if you couldn't answer her riddle, she ate you. What walks on 4 feet in the morning, 2 feet at noon, and 3 feet in the evening? The only man to answer this correctly was Oedipus Rex, Oedipus the king, who accidentally married his mother and then poked his own eyes out. As for the Sphinx, once Oedipus bested her, she killed herself. The answer, if you didn't know already, is a man. He crawls at the beginning of life, he walks upright in midlife, and walks with a cane in old age. Huh. Oh, that's pretty interesting. Let's see what else I got here. Oh, I just had a Holocaust botch history right in my face, and I lost it. Cocaine in ancient Egypt. Alright, that's a decent story. Let's try cocaine in ancient Egypt. Hey, Lisa. How could Egyptian mummies ranging from 800 to 3,000 years old have traces of cocaine and tobacco in their hair, skin, and bones? Cocaine and tobacco come from the plants that grew only in the still undiscovered New World and weren't accessible to those damn Egyptians. And it doesn't say that. I'm just adding words to be a dick. But tobacco wasn't introduced to the Old World until the Arawak tribe gave some to Columbus in 1492. After scientist Svetlana Balabanova, I like that name, Balabanova, yes, Svetlana Balabanova, made the strange discovery at the Egyptian Museum in Munich, she tested hundreds more mummies from the Old World. Interestingly, cocaine was found only in Munich Museum's mummies. Some experts speculated that reckless cocaine-using archaeologists there had contaminated the bodies. Wow. The tobacco, though, was a bigger mystery. A third of the mummies Balabanova studied contained nicotine and evidence of tobacco that had been found in the stomach of King Ramses II and in King Tut's tomb. But no one can say for sure how it got there. And then on the bottom here it says, Henry David Thoreau once burned down 300 acres of forest trying to cook a fish. Okay. Let's try 3 things named for Caesar. No, I don't want to do that one. How to speak hobo. Nope. The criminal truth extractor. What's the scariest thing in the world? Hold on, let me take a hit of this. According to this strange invention from the 1930s, a skeleton ghost, called the criminal truth extractor, it was designed to coerce suspects into confessing. Wait, so this thing that was designed to coerce suspects into confessing is called a skeleton ghost? Okay. Here's how it's supposed to work. The accused sat in a chair in a small room. An officer in another room asked questions while viewing the suspect through a small window. The wall that separated the rooms looked like a regular wall, but it was extra thin. If the suspect refused to talk, the interrogator would fire up the truth extractor. The lights went out and the wall lit up with the image of a ghostly skeleton with rapidly blinking eyes. The theory went that the criminal would get so scared that he would confess. How well did it work? Considering how little information there is about the criminal truth extractor, not too well. Yeah, sounds like it. Anyway, so yeah, that's about it. Thanks for being here, Lisa and whoever else was here, and the people who left after I said something that they didn't like. Oh, sorry. Anyway, thanks for listening. We'll be back with some more Strange History soon.